Hello, everyone. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of Coffee with Bill. So, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is, do coffee beans go bad? And if they do, how can you tell that they're going bad? So, there's a lot of misinformation out there about coffee beans, and about the freshness and whether the coffee beans truly go bad, don't go bad. So let me throw a scenario out to you first. You're at the grocery store. You're looking for a new coffee to drink, or it might even be your old standby coffee. You grab the bag off the shelf. You go home. You throw them beans into the grinder, set to the right grind size for you. You grind them, put them in your coffee pot. You brew it, and when you go to sip that delicious cup of coffee, that cup of coffee isn't so delicious. Now you look at the bag to try to figure out when the coffee was roasted, and you don't see it. There's a lot of coffee companies out there that do not tell you a roast date, but you'll see an expiration date or a best used by date that could be anywhere from a year and a half, 2 years out, from when you bought that bag of coffee. And you're left kind of scratching your head, when were these beans roasted, so I can tell if they're still good or not. But by taste, it's not good. Oxygen is your biggest enemy of coffee beans, along with moisture. The general rule of thumb is, as close to the roast date as you can get to drinking the coffee, utilizing those coffee beans is best. Normally, from the time it's roasted to about 10 days out is the the optimum time for grinding and using the coffee beans. From there, you can kind of store your coffee beans and use them slowly as needed. You're looking at, for ground coffee, if you're using ground coffee, um, you're looking at about a 2 month window where those coffee grounds are still good. Now, they may not be in the most pristine peak of coffee flavor for you, but they're still going to make you a decent pot of coffee. Um, Now, for whole beans, you're going to be able to store them and use them for about 5 to 6 months. Now, again, you're not going to be in the peak flavor profile, but you're still going to be able to get a good pot of coffee using those whole beans. One of the things you want to do is, if you have an airtight container, you want to put those beans or put those grounds in that airtight container, because that's going to be able to extend your storage time out, and extend the time that those beans are going to go bad. So you're going to be able to extend the life of them out. But if you do not have an airtight container, then you want to make sure you seal the bag up as best as possible, and you want to store it in a cabinet, a pantry, somewhere where you're not going to, one, be in direct sunlight, away from a direct heat source, and you want it at room temperature. Now, you can freeze coffee beans and ground coffee, but what you're going to do is you are going to make that bean or those grounds go stale. Yes, you can still brew those beans and grounds, but what's going to end up happening is you're going to have coffee with little to no flavor at all, because you are rapidly degrading the grounds and the coffee beans. So, does coffee go bad? Yes. You have a little bit of room in there to utilize your beans or to utilize your grounds. If you're not sure whether your beans are good or not, you're not going to be able to tell by looking at them, unless they just have some sort of funky bacteria growing on them. So you're going to have to use your nose. The more strong and pungent and aroma filled those coffee beans are, the fresher they are. As coffee starts its path to becoming bad, the smell dissipates from them. Eventually, you're going to end up with ground coffee or coffee beans that have very little aroma to them. Yes, you can brew them, the grounds, you can brew those beans, but your flavor is going to be very minimal. When there's a rancid smell, a mildewy smell to your coffee beans or your coffee grounds, you do not want to use them. Because what has happened is those beans or those grounds have spoiled, most likely because some sort of moisture or condensation has got in there and started to break and rot those beans and grounds. So if it smells rancid, it smells mildewy, discard them, get some more beans, and go that way. So to answer your question, yes, beans go bad. There are a couple different ways of prolonging that and being able to utilize them. But no, once you get outside of that from roast date to 10 days, your peak flavor profile is going to be in that time frame. From there, you're going to start dissipating on the flavor. It's still going to give you good coffee, but no, as you get longer in time, the less that flavor is going to be, and the not as good is your cup of coffee going to be. So I hope that helps you out a little bit. I hope you learned a little something about coffee and the shelf life of it. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. Please hit the subscribe button to be able to stay up to date with the videos that we're putting out. And then follow us on our other social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I ask that you join us because you're going to be able to stay up to date with all our blogs, information, and then subscribe to our newsletter because we send out weekly newsletters that have great info, tips, and then we also send out great customer deals through our newsletter. So until next time, have a great cup of coffee.